When you think of sleeping outdoors in freezing snow, your mind probably goes straight to misery. Shivering all night, tossing and turning, waking up damp and frozen. But what if I told you that soldiers during the harshest campaigns of World War II often slept warmer and more securely in snow than many modern campers do with their fancy gear? It sounds impossible, but it's true. These men faced temperatures that would make most of us run for shelter, yet they learned to turn snow itself into one of the most effective insulating tools nature provides. Winter was not just a backdrop in World War II. It was a relentless, deadly adversary. On the Eastern Front, frostbite and exposure claimed more lives than bullets. In Finland, Russia, and later the Ardennes, during the Battle of the Bulge, soldiers faced nights where temperatures plummeted far below freezing. Supplies were stretched thin, and winter gear was minimal at best. Some had only a thin greatcoat or standard-issue blanket, while others had to make do with whatever scraps of clothing or shelter they could find. Sleeping bags, insulated pads and tents were often too heavy, scarce or impractical. Survival in these conditions demanded creativity, knowledge, and an intimate understanding of the environment. The secret soldiers discovered was deceptively simple. Snow, when used correctly, is a powerful insulator. Fresh snow contains tiny air pockets that trap warmth, functioning much like down feathers. The trick wasn't to lie on top of the snow, where body heat would drain into the frozen ground, but to lie inside it. Soldiers mastered the art of carving trenches, pits and snow caves, transforming the cold and unforgiving landscape into a protective, heat-trapping shelter. The difference was remarkable. Inside these snow shelters, temperatures often hovered just below freezing, but with wind and exposure blocked, they felt far warmer than the bitter cold outside. In Norway and Finland, troops routinely dug snow pits and covered them with fir boughs or makeshift tarps. On the Russian front, soldiers would scoop out depressions, line the bottom with straw, branches, or even spare clothing, and pile the snow back over the top. This method created a natural sleeping bag of sorts. Snow acted as a blanket, trapping body heat, while the lining reduced conductive heat loss to the frozen ground. These seemingly primitive shelters were far more effective than many modern campers realize. In fact, a well-constructed snow trench could keep a soldier comfortable enough to sleep through temperatures that would make most of us miserable. The principle behind this is simple yet profound: insulation and wind protection. Modern camping often relies heavily on gear, with tents, pads and sleeping bags designed to keep us warm. But even the best equipment can fail if it doesn't account for exposure or direct contact with frozen ground. Soldiers didn't have the luxury of advanced gear, so, well, they had to work with the materials at hand. Snow slowed heat loss, and lining the floor with organic materials acted as a natural barrier. Wind, which steals heat faster than almost anything else, was blocked by walls and overhangs. By working with nature rather than against it, soldiers survived nights that would have been deadly to those relying on equipment alone. For anyone interested in survival or historical fieldcraft, these lessons are honestly just invaluable. If you ever find yourself in snowy conditions without modern gear, the process is, well, quite clear. First, avoid sleeping directly on open ground. Carve a trench or hollow just wide enough for your body, ensuring that the walls can shield you from the wind. Next, line the bottom with whatever you can, branches, grass, or even spare clothing, to reduce heat loss. Then, cover the top with a tarp, poncho, or even snow, making sure to leave a small breathing hole. Done correctly, even at temperatures of -10°C, a snow trench can create a livable microclimate, keeping you warm enough to rest and recover. Understanding why this works requires, well, a little science. Cold is not just about air temperature. It's about exposure, wind, and contact with frozen surfaces. Soldiers understood that the environment itself could be an ally if treated with respect and knowledge. This is why Finnish ski troops and American infantry alike could endure the cold more effectively than an unprepared modern camper. They didn't rely solely on technology. They relied on skill, observation, and an understanding of the natural world. Snow became not an obstacle, but a tool, a partner in survival. This approach is really a reminder that true resilience comes from knowledge, not gear. Anyone can buy an expensive sleeping bag, but only someone trained in fieldcraft can step into a frozen forest, dig a shelter, and emerge warm in the morning. Soldiers sleeping in snow is not just a story of endurance. It's a masterclass in survival strategy, resourcefulness, and ingenuity under pressure. It's a lesson that applies just as much today as it did in the 1940s. So, the next time you venture into winter landscapes, think like a soldier. Work with the snow, understand its properties, and create your own microclimate. Knowledge like this costs nothing, but it can mean, honestly, everything. And if this dive into World War II survival has sparked your curiosity or inspired you to try these techniques, make sure to subscribe to Warcraft Survival. Share this video with fellow history and survival enthusiasts, and leave a comment about what survival trick you want to see next. These are the skills that keep knowledge alive and honour the endurance of those who survived by turning nature itself into their greatest ally.